In this week's video, I will talk a little bit about the importance of challenging yourself every now and then. But first, I hope you all had a wonderful start into the new year. While I am talking about this whole topic, I will show you my most recent character and a small amount of the brainstorming that went into it. But first, let's rewind a little bit. I am part of the unofficial Discord of Ahmed Al-Douri's digital painting course, which I can recommend a lot. Emily, I will also show you her Instagram on the screen right now, who is an amazing and lovely character artist, organizes monthly challenges over there, and for December, the challenge was to create a mood board and then paint something, or in my case, design a character based on one of the mood boards, which you got randomly assigned. I didn't join the last time this challenge happened, which was in December 2022, I think, and I regretted it so much because it looked like a lot of fun. So this time I really wanted to create a mood board and also join, and that I did. My mood board was created by the artist William, also known as Rui. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but here is their Instagram. And this is the mood board that I had to work with. At first, I was pretty stoked about the mood board that I got because, I mean, look at it. It is beautiful. It looks pretty dark and mystical, and you can work with fantasy elements in this, so it is perfect for me. But while it looks a little bit more dark, it also looks quite beautiful at the same time. But the more I thought about it, the more I was struggling with coming up with an idea. It was so difficult for me to come up with something. I am not lying when I tell you that I brainstormed on at least 6 A4 sized pages of my sketchbook for this challenge, and then even more on my smaller I don't care sketchbook. The first idea that I thought was somewhat interesting and that sparked some joy in me was the idea of a turtle skeleton that is traveling between the world of the living and the world of the dead. It's something like, I don't know how to call it, an in-between state, I don't know. On it and inside of it were forests and caves, and I will also show you the sketches that I made in my sketchbook right now on screen. And in these caves and forests, there are weird souls and creatures that are stuck in this in-between world. I also had the idea of someone sitting on the head of the turtle and using magic so that hands spawn everywhere in those areas to watch over everything that is going on. I think this was supposed to be somewhat of a godlike being, but actually I don't know. I also already started a more detailed drawing of the turtle. I will also show you that on screen now. But somehow I ended up not liking the idea as much as I did before starting. One of the reasons were that I planned on doing multiple drawings that were supposed to show different parts of the turtle, but I was running out of time because brainstorming for this mood board took so much of my time, and I also got COVID. Also, usually if I don't feel like drawing a specific thing within the first 20 minutes, I should just stop. And because I didn't like where this was going and I really didn't feel certain about this idea, I decided to leave it and continue the brainstorming again. I struggled so much with coming up with a character that captured the essence of this mood board because I really wanted to capture this dark but at the same time beautiful thing. I also tried to find some similar pictures on Pinterest to maybe spark an idea and find some inspiration at least. After days and days of not coming up with an idea that I liked, I asked some of my friends what feelings or thoughts they had when looking at this mood board. A friend of mine who is an amazing musician and who, fun fact, also made the music for my intro, helped me quite a lot with coming up with something that made me really excited. He shared his thoughts on this mood board, and then we talked a little bit about it, and in that talk I finally came up with something, at least, and I was so happy about that. I wanted to paint a creature that looked horrifying, but also beautiful in some ways. Because of the roses, I was reminded of the depictions of the Holy Mary, so I tried to implement some of the elements that are used in paintings and sculptures of her. Instead of a headscarf, I added some strands of hair to frame the face in a similar way, because I wanted to keep the creature naked to give it this very uncomfortable feeling when you look at it. I also added the hairband or crown or whatever you want to call this thing made of roses and thorns. The roses again to resemble the Holy Mary, and the thorns to combine those beautiful flowers with something that isn't considered pretty. There is one picture in the mood board that shows this very weird creature with multiple heads, and I think that was my main inspiration for the final character. Once I was done with brainstorming different creatures and also a sketch that I really liked, I noticed that I have never, ever before painted a creature with a texture like that, and I got a little bit overwhelmed. But I pushed through and I trusted the process, and I learned so much by doing so, and I'm so proud of myself. This was so challenging and intimidating, but I did it. No matter the end result, I won because I didn't give up. And the good thing is that I really love the way this character turned out. I started with grayscale first and then added a color layer for a gloss of color. I think this technique really fit the vibe that I was going for with this character. I also chose to put a butterfly on one of the hands of the creature, and both of them are looking at and studying each other. Initially, I wanted to go for something a little bit more cruel, and I wanted to show the creature eating something, but then I decided that this might look a little bit too terrifying for the vibe that I was going for and that I was trying to show with this character in the end. So I tried to go a different way, and I implemented a very small and vulnerable creature, and I wanted to capture a moment of silence and being quiet. This was, by the way, also the first time that I painted a butterfly, and it was easier than I thought, but at the same time, you know, it was very small and not very detailed. It was very difficult for me to break through this thought of making everything look perfect. And it took me a while and a lot of feedback from my friend until I was finally brave enough to let some chaos into this character. To let loose of this control that I wanted to have over this drawing. This, again, taught me a huge lesson about not only character design, but also about freedom in art, which can be quite difficult sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta let it go and see what comes. And I personally think that you can tell how free I felt by these random and chaotic faces, which I absolutely love. Even though it is insanely difficult and hard to face your fears or weaknesses, just do it. I know for a fact that it is so much easier to draw something you already know how to draw, because that way the outcome is pretty predictable and reliable, but let's be honest, it can also get a little bit boring over time. I used to fall into the trap of drawing something pretty instead of what I actually wanted to draw, because I knew that the chances were higher that I, and sadly also others, would like the outcome of it. I felt so bored after a while. Drawing different things make me feel more excited. If you find yourself stuck or in an art block struggling with coming up with what to draw, maybe take a step out of your comfort zone and look into other topics, than what you usually draw. Another benefit, and I think the bigger one, is that you will improve more and faster by challenging yourself. As soon as you struggle with something, there is an opportunity to learn. I struggled so much with painting feet a couple of months ago, so I decided to push through the pain and learn to paint them. I am still not great, but I am getting there, and in 3 years from now, I will hopefully have no issues with painting feet. A while ago, I started to have fun with these things that I like, and I noticed that my quicker characters often look straight to the viewer. So, with one of my recent ones, I decided to change that up a little bit. Not only that, I am also trying to be more creative with the poses that I use for my more developed characters that you may have seen on Instagram or on my other videos on this channel. And I learned so much. Drawing from imagination is the ultimate challenge to spot areas where you lack knowledge. So go do that. I know it is intimidating. But learn about the things you struggle with and then try to practice them. For me, it's also more exciting to practice those things and then try to draw a character and implement that thing so that I can learn it while doing it. Executing it in such a way makes me learn more effectively. Another example would be my warm-up practice with ink on paper. You've probably seen that warm-up practice in my other videos, especially in my vlogs, because I always or sometimes show you my warm-ups that I make for the day. At first, I was very intimidated by the thought of me drawing 1-minute poses using ink only. But I improved so much after doing it for a while, and now it is actually one of my favorite warm-up exercises. Here are also some examples of these drawings when I first started out with these exercises, and then also some more recent ones. But please keep in mind that these are only 1-minute poses. You can clearly see how afraid I was in the beginning and how my confidence grew over time. Of course, sometimes I still fall back into that fear, but that's totally normal and okay, and it will go away. I try to view those obstacles that you have to overcome while working on a piece as opportunities to grow and improve rather than unfortunate events that just happen. One reason we view these challenges as something negative might be our mindset. I talked about this to another friend and we asked ourselves why we view being challenged in such a bad way. And then I noticed that in the past I was stuck in a very unhealthy mindset for a long period of time. Every time I faced an obstacle, I didn't see for what it was, an opportunity to grow and to learn. But I saw it as proof of me being a bad artist. Saying this out loud to her made me want to share this with you so that I will maybe help someone out there who may struggle with such a toxic point of view. With every piece, there will be a moment of confusion or even frustration. But that moment is when you can learn something. So just try to embrace it instead of skipping it or taking a shortcut. You know, hiding the hands behind the body will never teach you to draw the hands. If I can do it, you can do it. That's it for today's video, and I will hopefully see you next week.